I'll be talking about my mass media theory called Gemini theory, and how power is played through mass media. So mass media is a communication with the public. This communication can be seen through TV, movies, radio, newspapers, and the internet. Yet having these platforms, the people thus get the news of what's going around the world and entertainment through the general public. Therefore, people have drawn the idea of being biased or even misleading information to the public regarding mass media. The more so can come to media providing misleading and discriminating information of certain minority groups such as people of color, LGBTQ community, and women, and all media majority is run thus by straight males, thus making the public think biased and stereotypically and becoming racist. So basically, I decided to put my presentation on a poster because I thought it was more visually appealing and all information is all at once, so it's more carefully put together. So when it came to coming up with my theory, I did look at other theories, such as I had looked at the cultivation theory. This theory has seen that the media cultivates the minds of the public, having one perceive what is seen on TV and is happening everywhere in the real world. When the media only focuses on certain groups, the framing theory fixates these problems with a different meaning. So I also checked the framing theory, as well as the gatekeeping theory, which filters certain information in the press, thus monitoring whatever gets out in the public. So a lot when it comes to mass media, we can kind of see that mass media majority is run by white straight males. And a lot of it, mass media, the main purpose is sometimes as well is to get money, because we know that money makes the world go around. It's very nice for some people and makes people do very nasty things and not considerate to other people in the world. Thus, when it comes to mass media, we can see that it generally does reflect on the public and influences the public in so many ways. It educates the public, but not necessarily educates the proper way. Thus, misleads the world into thinking other tactics. That's why I think there's a lot of problems today that we suffer in the world. So basically, I came up with my theory called the Gemini theory. So basically, Gemini, if you don't know it, the Gemini star sign, I'm a Gemini, funny enough, is often correlated to being two-faced. I'm not two-faced. I hope not. I really am not. The Gemini theory, so basically Geminis are seen to be two-faced. So I think that fits in well in coming up with a name in the theory that I have made. So basically the Gemini theory is the media has a two-faced impact on the public regarding providing information on poisoning people's minds to think in the way society does today on minority groups. The two-faced results was coming from how the media makes certain groups seem how they portray these certain groups. For example, black people are seen as lazy and thugs according to the media, thus becoming a stereotype. But most recently, the media has seen it as a way to move forward and to represent these certain groups in a light, but not necessarily represent them in a positive note, but thus having this effect creates a slap in the face, basically. Having said this, so basically I show here a little example here of how the majority of these mass people controlling mass media and what information gets out in the public is of straight white males. They're the ones running our movies or newspapers and so forth of any type of communication the world depicts. As well as seen through certain other areas, we can see that when it came to portraying certain information when it comes to representing diversity, we can see firstly when it came to start of movies and shows in the early 1900s, the early 20th century, on basically how white people depicted people of color in movies and how this kind of created stereotypes, such as black people are thugs and so forth, as I explained in the beginning of my presentation. but basically how these stereotypes impacted on how we depict these people and how we create horrors in the public in terms of shootings and so forth. So basically, when it comes to today's society, we can see that the media is gradually showing more diversity and so forth, but not necessarily a way that's educating people, but also still creating stereotypes and in a way of mocking other people, mocking these minority groups, such as we can see in shows like, for example, Sofia Vergara's character in Modern Family. They still make her into a comedic way about using her ethnicity and race as a way of making a comedic feature and so forth, but still blankly representing her. Thus, as a way, as a two-faced effect, showing, okay, we will represent you, but there's a twist because we're still going to mock you anyway. That's how these people in control want to showcase the media. Although we have seen a lot of diversity when it comes to other things representing the media, as well as becoming a lot of shows and movies, for example, being majority of a black cast, and we're seeing more black directors getting put into, but it's still run by white males in the system. So basically, as seen as well, a lot have, when it came to researching and so forth, it came to see that a lot of, let's say for instance, a black sitcom, how such as one as I think it's Blackish or Grownish. They both the same concept, but they're two different shows. But basically, how everyone in the family is black, but the main character in the show is portrayed by a biracial girl, a biracial daughter, technically, when the rest of the family is black. And the thing is that a lot of black women nowadays have spoken about the issue, saying how the media is basically representing not a fully black person representing themselves, and how this shows how the media is still playing on to represent Eurocentric features also still in placed into these diverse shows, and how it's kind of still a slap in the face, instead of representing a girl that is coming from both parents being black and not a parent that is white and black. So in a way that it's kind of portraying that we representing diversity, but still in a lighter way, if that makes sense. It's such actors such as Zendaya, Amandla Stenberg, and Yara Shahidi, who all are biracial but are seen a lot in majority black shows, but are not representing entirely coming from a full black household. And a lot of black women have argued this and said this, and how it's kind of a slap in the face because it's not representing or being educated enough. And this is what mass media does. As well as when it comes to representing certain animations, we'll have a person of color represented in a show or so forth, but yet be voiced by a white actor or voice actress in this case. As well, I can see it in Modern Family, the one gay couple in the movie, show Modern Family. The one guy is actually straight in real life, but is playing a gay character. So in that way, it kind of comes into the mix. But when having this result and having this portrayal, it kind of leads to say for instance, having a comedic approach to these characters and a stereotypic approach kind of leads the public to be misleading and create this kind of picture of what these people actually are like in real life. And this comes to negatively not actually educate people on what It's like basically educate people on, you know, um, educating people on other people in communication, basically. And that's when mass media communicates, but does not communicate to an extent. So, such as I have watermelon here because a lot of the time in the old movies back in the early 20th century, they correlated black people have been having big lips, kind of having monkey features, and eating a lot of watermelon. This portrayal has also greatly been exampled in Jay-Z's The Story of OJ's music video. The music video clearly depicts on how black people were mistreated and represented in the times of after slavery and so forth, and in terms of how the media was coming about and communicating through people. And I think this is a lot seen in as well in America, and how a lot of minority groups are mistreated because of how the media stems them and depicts them of being certain characteristics, which is not true. Thus, here I have a gun here because it relates to how America has a lot of problems with the police brutality. As we saw last year in 2020, there was the Black Lives Matter movement, in which the media is supposed to educate people and give out the correct information, but not simply giving the suitable educational material the public necessarily needs. The media is a powerful tool, but if the public inhabits these wrong stereotypes from minority group, it eventually leads to havoc such as police brutality in America. So eventually, having all this non-educational information brought out kind of creates havoc and conflict between the public. And this is how mass media can negatively have the power to create divide in the public, in my defense. Overall, the Gemini effect is a clear example how the media is two-faced, and they'll try any way to like basically brainwash into us thinking of another way and not properly educating us as human beings of one another, as people living all together in this world, but clearly divide us because it's run by this one stigma of what information gets controlled into what information gets put out in the world, and everything is controlled by one mind, and that's usually by the white straight male, and how they only think straight. So a lot of people will think about that because of what gets put out onto the media and so forth. Thus, it creates a divide in what we see in the public today, due to this mass media controlled by the white straight male, and how everything is two-faced because it's how the mass media still is a money-making world, and how basically it's not caring about anyone else but the ones that are in control of it.